now we have really the what I would consider the headliner of the webinar today for the audience is that we will have the honor to have a practicing working Chief Credit Officer, Michael Johnson of Dogwood State Bank here in Raleigh. And he would like to share some perspectives with the audience today, and we certainly are greatly appreciative of that from Michael. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, David. I appreciate Larry inviting me. I'm not a headliner very often, so this is an interesting position for me. I don't know how good a webinar it is if a Chief Credit Officer from Dogwood State Bank's the lead speaker though either, but I'll digress. Just want to thank you both again for inviting me. Just some background on myself and the bank. Again, Chief Credit Officer of Dogwood State Bank. We're a $500 million bank headquartered in Raleigh with offices in Charlotte, Morehead City, Greenville, and Wilmington, North Carolina. The bank was formed on a thesis that to serve businesses and small businesses and medium-sized businesses across the state of North Carolina. Our senior management team is spread out across the state, so we have a lot of relationships across the state that we were trying to leverage. And then also we have a SBA 7A program, originate to sell, that we do across primarily from New York through to Florida on the Atlantic seaboard, but really doing loans not quite nationwide, but certainly east of the Mississippi. And the bank was formed out of a recap of Sound Bank, which was headquartered in Morehead City, and that happened in June of 2019, and we rebranded to Dogwood in September of 2019. So our board of directors and management team come from a variety of North Carolina banks, and both small, medium, and large banks, and a lot of us have had a relationship with David over many years. In fact, our chairman was David was his credit partner at a bank some time ago. So really a great deal of respect in meeting Larry this year as part of the project of doing our loan reviews. I have a great deal of respect for him and his team and all the work they do. So kind of what I thought I'd get started and kind of walk through, how I use the third-party kind of credit risk loan review function to get what we strategically want out of it. And so, there's a million ways to answer that question. We have regulators, internal auditors, external auditors, FHLB audits. It just goes on, and you're always thinking, I have a ton of people Monday morning quarterbacking me. Why do I need to do a third-party loan review? And in my opinion, it really gives you a chance to accomplish a couple strategies that you may have, and kind of identify where your issues are, and kind of get a second set of eyes on things. So what I did when we were looking for a partner in this, was really answer the question, what are we trying to accomplish, and what can we do? And I was new to this portfolio. We had a $250 million portfolio with that I didn't know a lot about. So I really wanted a volume kind of internal loan review to cover, to identify any issues that we hadn't found yet or identified. So I was looking for someone to do that. I was looking for, so I was new, we were all new to this organization, new board, new senior management team. So I needed some credibility with our board. And so having worked with David in the past and knowing how they look through things, I was confident that they'd at least identify shortfalls as well as kind of defend my position to the board as far as how we're managing our credit And then another thing is, we've had, so as part of this, we implemented a completely new credit team. So no one had ever worked at Sound Bank before. The credit team was essentially, Sound Bank was bought from another bank, and the other bank had all the credit departments. So that when we acquired the bank, we had to staff the bank from scratch. And some of them I had historical history with, but others were new to me. So I wanted to make sure that we were doing consistent credit analysis. So a lot of different reasons why you want to have the credit to defend, the reason to have a third-party credit review, and a lot of that is just simply driven by your own needs and the fact that those other parties that I mentioned before, the regulators and auditors and things, they have their agenda, and you don't get to kind of design your process. And I think this, with the help of Larry and David, we're able to put that together. I also had an upcoming, regulatory review when we were about 4 months in. So I was able to not only with that prepare for that, and I think David mentioned it a couple of times in his conversation that prepare to write your script so you can talk about the things that you're doing and kind of define how the regulators and third-party reviewers also look at it. So I found out all that to be helpful, and so that's what we did, and as I think back on other things we wanted to accomplish, we needed to test our process and procedures and all that. I mean, this is a new bank, so we had a lot to do. Going forward, I think we're probably looking at a different thesis on what we're trying to accomplish in our next review, which will be early next year, and that would be, I think it'll probably focus more on the stress of the coronavirus or deteriorating credit. Certain industries probably stressed, but again, that'll be a group discussion between the head of our risk committee and Larry and David and myself. So it's very, they bring a very collaborative approach, which I really appreciate. And Larry's team is it's a good exchange of ideas, and we'll explain what we were thinking, and they'll be counter to us on occasion, and it's a healthy professional discussion. So it's very helpful to kind of scrub out your risk grades and process and that kind of thing. So leveraging their experience is very helpful for a small bank that doesn't have a lot of credit resources. I think if you talk to any credit person, they don't have enough resources ever. But other things that just having the favorable opinion of a regulator and an auditor and the board, and having Larry and David go through and kind of point out things where you can do some work, and as well as compliment you on other things. So I think we've had a healthy discussion on how that goes, and we've all been fair about the presentation, and we've had pretty good results. I left with better knowledge of my portfolio. I checked all the boxes that I spoke about what I was looking for. That was portfolio, risk profile, and processing systems. So, in addition to that, you get to see how your credit team responds and acts in those environments. So led to identify some gaps and training some people up and some additional coaching opportunities. So all those things make your organization stronger and your team better. So I really gained a lot from their support and their insights. So kind of walk through how we chose IntelliCredit and our experience with them, and in sort of my closing remarks, I'd like to talk really about our relationship and some of the benefits that I was looking for when we started, and some of the things that kind of surprised me. Certainly professionalism, I've said that a couple of times, experience, content experts, David, Larry, and the rest of the team all check that box for sure. And then the collaborative approach, always trying to present it fairly. They're never trying to surprise you. We take different approaches to get to the same answers they do. On occasion, sometimes we take different approaches and come to different conclusions. And having a thoughtful discussion about those conclusions, and having a back and forth conversation that is professional and everyone was well prepared. It went very smoothly. And then the presentation quality, a concise board report, a more detailed management report, both that Larry had showed in the demonstration, were very easy to fold into any kind of situation. My team obviously focused on the deeper analytics and the management report, but the board summary was easily dropped into the presentation for risk committee and reviewed there. They came to the first risk committee after their first review, and were presented their results, and that was well received by the board. And then on this last time, we elected just that I would just present it, and that went fine as well because the report was so concise and complete. The big surprise, and kind of what I would say is the IntelliCredit's special sauce is the technology and the ease of use around completing these reviews, and it is. We had a 30-minute call the first time to walk people through the mechanics of the technology, and I would say that it probably didn't even take 30 minutes. And then it was off to the races. It was so easy and efficient, dragging and dropping, and you get document exceptions, real-time review and feedback as we're going through on a daily basis. I'd hop into the portal and look at what they've accomplished and highlight what I wanted to talk about with Larry and what we thought we would have to get together and talk about. So it really moved things along. It allowed me to do my day job during the day and in no time at all, half hour, 45 minutes in the afternoon to run through the kind of documents, exceptions, and the reviews, and provide any more feedback and have any discussions that we needed. I think we had 1 or 2 conversations during the review, and the thing with it was always we were prepared. We had the information we needed to prepare on our end, and Larry and his team were certainly prepared on their end to discuss the credits that we had to discuss. Again, being able to do your day job when you're having any kind of review and audit and where it's effectively a 30-minute to 45-minute exercise of your time and commitment to the actual work, to me was, a godsend. In closing, I think it's important, essential to building a team and improving your organizational knowledge of your portfolio and identifying risk, to have third-party reviews, and certainly, in my experience, IntelliCredit's technology and professionalism and knowledge of the subject is excellent, and I wouldn't choose a different team. So just wanted to share those thoughts with you, and again, appreciate David and Larry inviting me today. Look forward to our next engagement.
Well, Michael, thank you very, very much for your comments, your perspective to the audience, certainly your business and your friendship. So thank you very, very much for joining us today.